Hello, everyone. This is our evaluation plan proposal for the Running Mates program. This evaluation plan was created by Ariel, Ryan, which is myself, and Moish. The Running Mates program is a part of the Chicago Run organization, which is a nonprofit organization that aims to provide children and young adults with running and physical activity opportunities. Chicago Run does this by facilitating different exercise programs which are designed to be inclusive and build important adolescent skills. Because Chicago Run has several programs that it facilitates, we chose to create an evaluation plan for their Running Mates program. The Running Mates program operates outside of school hours and can function as an after school program with the staff comprised of volunteer teachers, trainers, and mentors. This program utilizes running and physical activity to improve physical, social, and emotional health, and it primarily focuses its efforts on underserved communities that have limited access and opportunities for physical activity and play. The specific population of the Running Mates program is adolescents in either middle school or high school, and it is predominantly made up of children of color. The overarching goal of the program is for the participants to work towards and eventually complete a 5K run. Other goals include developing a positive self image, goal setting, and building relationships. The Running Mates program has multiple seasons a year, meaning that new participants will start the program when a new season begins. Past program participants that are college age have the opportunity to become coaches or mentors. On this slide, we have the logic model that our team created. Starting with the input column, we have terms in this column like board of directors, staff, curriculum, sponsorships, facilities for practice and training, and Chicago Park District approval for use of a 5K event. Going over to the outputs column, under activities, we have identification of coaches, training of coaches, organization of field trips, organization of transportation for in-person events, host group trainings for running and workouts, host 5K race and fundraising. Going over to the participants column, we have the number of coaches, the number of trainers, the number of volunteers and children for field trips, the number of children and volunteers for transportation, the number of coaches and children for workouts and running, the number of coaches, volunteers, and children participating in the 5K race, and the number of sponsors and volunteers for fundraising. In the outcome categories, for short-term outcomes, we have increased attendance in school, increased attention span, increased participation in the classroom, increased knowledge on the importance of physical activity, increased weekly exercise minutes, increased team building skills, increased relational play skills, increased self-confidence and self-image, and completion of the 5K race itself. Going over to medium-term outcomes, we have improvement in participating classrooms grades, increased breaks in the classroom setting that utilize physical education, physical activity made a part of the daily/weekly routine in and outside of the program, increased self-efficacy in physical activity, and increased involvement in local communities. Lastly, in the long-term outcome column, we have increased graduation rates from classrooms involved in the program, increased rates of participants attending post-secondary education, decrease in prevalence rate of childhood obesity and type 2 diabetes, and finally, a decrease in health disparities. Here we have a general outline of our evaluation plan. The purpose of our plan is to determine if Chicago Run's Running Mates program is meeting goals and community needs through the program. We will utilize stakeholder involvement, qualitative and quantitative evaluation methods, as well as utilizing multiple data collection tools. We will be looking at three components of our logic model in the input, activity, and outcome category. And the actual evaluation components. In our questions, we'll be looking at staffing needs and skills, engagement and training sessions, and self-efficacy gained in relation to physical activity.
Now, to further elaborate on what this plan will specifically be evaluating, it will specifically be evaluating two components that fall under the process level, input and output, and also be evaluating one of the sections from the outcome category in our logic model. For our two process level questions, we will be first focusing on an input category for staffing needs. We will also be focusing for the output and activity category on the group trainings. And then finally, for the outcome, we will be focusing on self-efficacy towards physical activity, and all of these three questions will be further elaborated in the next slides. As previously mentioned, we will be looking at two sections from process level that will assess how this program is actually ran and evaluate if they are being run to their full potential. For the first one, we'll be looking at an item from the input category, which is staffing needs. For this evaluation question, we will be asking how effectively were staffing needs fulfilled. This will be a one-group post-test only that will be looking to aim if staffing needs were appropriate and adequate enough to facilitate the numerous program sessions that take place over a season. This question will be collected quantitative and qualitative data through observations of sessions, staff and volunteer focus groups, and staff and volunteer questionnaires. The first data collection method will be observation, which will involve evaluators observing two full program sessions to assess how sessions are ran and if the appropriate staff to child ratio, which is set by the Department of Human Health Services as 1 adult to 10 to 12 children, and to see if staff shows competency towards the goal that the program is seeking to achieve. The next data collection method will involve staff focus groups that take place towards the end of the season. This will be used as a space to ask questions and give feedback from staff on how the season went and to gain insight on improvement for staff and needs that can be implemented next season. Lastly, there will be a questionnaire that will be distributed to staff members to assess competency and culture amongst the program and to know if staff feels knowledgeable about the goals of the program and if they feel qualified and well trained to fulfill the goals. For the final question in the process level, we'll be looking at an item from the output section, specifically from the activities, which is group trainings. Other than the actual running of the event, participation in group trainings is key for proper completion and success in this event. The specific question that we'll be asking is, to what degree is participant engagement maintained throughout group trainings? We came to the conclusion that participant engagement is one of the most vital parts in an actual training to make sure that participants are getting the most out of their trainings. This will also be a one-group post-test only that will also be collecting quantitative and qualitative data. Specifically for the quantitative section, we will be looking at a checklist or an assessment that evaluates that participants and staff are actively making sure that participants are engaged and that staff is actively engaging participants throughout these trainings. For the qualitative, we will be asking open-ended questions and also staff observations that they can be collected. All of these is The main of these is to focus that both staff and participants are providing and maintaining participant engagement, which will be again key for success. For this final evaluation question, instead of assessing components of how the program is actually ran, we will be evaluating to see if one of the many outcomes laid out from this program was actually accomplished. For this evaluation question, we will be looking at a medium-term outcome of increased self-efficacy towards physical activity. The specific evaluation question for this will be, how has the program affected self-efficacy towards physical activity? This will be a two-group pre-test and post-test that will be collecting data material before and after programming. When doing a two-group pre-test and post-test, it is important that there is a careful selection of a comparison group. It's important that we find a group that is very similar to the group that is actually participating in the event. For this event, it should be pretty simple to find that, since we would just need to select a classroom from the same age group of a participating classroom as long as they are not participating in any of the events. For this type of evaluation question, we will be collecting quantitative and qualitative data. Quantitative data through surveys and qualitative data through semi-structured interviews. And again, as mentioned, this will be completed before programming, and it will also be completed post-programming to see if there was actually a difference in the participants' attitudes, which would be collected through qualitative data, and to see if actually participants actually increased in their physical activity could be seen through quantitative data from surveys.
For a timeline of evaluation activities, 1 week before season begins, there will be two group pre-test semi-structured interview and survey implemented 1 month before program begins between both program participants and not non-participants, preferably from same school. For throughout the season, observation of program sessions, evaluators will observe two program sessions to assess staffing needs. Observation seasons will be spaced out at different points throughout the program. Within 2 weeks of season ending, there will be focus group and questionnaire, which will assess volunteers, staff satisfaction, staff competency, and cultural competency. Within 1 to 6 months after season ends, there will be two group post test semi structured interview and survey. Post test taken will be taken multiple times at 1, 3, and 6 month post intervention, marked to assess self efficacy in relation to physical activity to determine if there was a drop off, stayed consistent, or increased. Now, how findings will be presented to stakeholders in our program. The stakeholders will be presented three program progress reports in a year. They will be informed via email or mail. This report will contain progress about outcomes of the program, such as number of students successfully completing the program and updates on the data collected. The executive summary of all data and findings provided to program stakeholders post presentation for further analysis and room for questions. Then there will be a full evaluation report compiled by staff and evaluators annually and will be presented to stakeholders, which will hold the information about complete analysis of the evaluation of data collected of students who participated and also who did not participate throughout the year. And in the end, annual stakeholder meeting to discuss results of the program and evaluation report to determine future steps to increase efficacy and reach of the program. So this concludes our presentation. Here is the reference we used. Thank you so much for watching.